Okay, we are live. Hello, Melanie, and hello, Yes Supply community. I'm so excited for our conversation today. So our incredible student, Melanie, was sharing her story inside our Facebook group. We have so many incredible wins in our Facebook group, we can't even keep up with them. But what she was sharing was that she used one of our powerful techniques, mapping across, to actually make a huge shift from going from someone who was drinking wine to not even liking wine anymore. And I thought that that was such a hugely inspiring shift, which she has shared has changed so many different things in her life. And I wanted to talk about it publicly because for so many people, we feel like if we really like a certain food or we really like a certain drink, even if we don't want to be consuming it anymore, we feel stuck with it. Like we have to continue consuming it for years. And Melanie, just like so many of our other students who have used this technique, are such bright, shining examples of no, if you don't want to drink that thing or smoke that thing or eat that thing anymore, you can say no to it. And it's very simple to make the change. It's literally one subconscious reprogramming technique that can help you make the shift from liking it, being emotionally connected to it, to not even liking the taste of it anymore. So I'm going to hand it over to Melanie to share a little bit about who you are and the big shift that you had. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be sharing this. And as I also mentioned beforehand, this is like a manifestation come true, to be actually talking about this to you and having that like sharing to the world, because it's so, it seems so simple, right? It seems so simple to change a habit, and it actually also is, but we make it a lot harder than we actually need to. So I'm super excited to be sharing this today.
So amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So how about you share maybe a little bit about who you are and what brought you to the Yes Supply method?
Yeah, sure. So like, as I said, I'm Melanie and I'm Danish. I live in Denmark, a small country in Europe, if you don't know. Yeah. And I am a mom to 2 boys and married to my husband since I've been 19 years old. So that's now quite some years now. I guess it's 14 years now. So we've been together.
Wow. Yeah.
And my story in actually joining Yes Supply was not in the beginning of actually becoming a coach. I was reflecting on what actually made me join Yes Supply, and my story actually started way in another like different perspective, because I joined Yes Supply because I wanted to help myself. I actually didn't thought I wanted to help others, even though I like to help people. But it was a completely another reason why I actually joined Yes Supply. Just give a short backstory. I actually used to really struggle with anxiety as long as I could remember. It wasn't like this. I wasn't lacking confidence. I guess now knowing what I know, I was lacking a lot. I had a low self-worth in myself. So I was lacking really a lot of this worthiness of receiving what I actually wanted to receive. So I struggled a lot with anxiety, that was actually something that I always looked towards solutions. I actually tried hypnosis once with someone that I know now didn't do it like he did it correctly, but he was missing a really important point, and I will get to that later on if I can share that as well. But I was going back and forth and finding solution on how to actually release my anxiety. And then even though I was successful in my life, I would say I had like the corporate job I dreamed of and was doing well, but constantly struggling with how the heaviness of anxiety. And then from one day to another, I lost my dad to a heart attack.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And yeah, thank you. And it was a shock to my system. And I remember actually, I guess I was actually contemplating on when did I actually hear about you from the first time. And it was a few months beforehand, before he passed. I watched a masterclass of yours, and I actually found the old notebook I had.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
and,
I
and all the
love
pages,
getting everyone to take notes. Oh, look
yeah.
at that. Wow. That's so cool.
And all the pages are just around like the first masterclass I watched from you. And it said something, I actually read, it said something about this is for people who want to change people's life. Yeah, it says here. But then it says like a subconscious mind and then big question mark. So that was the first time I actually heard about the subconscious. Wow. But I guess I wasn't ready to actually dive deeper into it. And then when my dad passed, it was a completely shock to my system. And I was also 33 weeks pregnant with my second son when he passed.
Aww.
So all things like was shook up in my life, and I was questioning everything, and just actually tried to survive the period. And within that year, my husband also got diagnosed with cancer just right when COVID hit. Like everything just kept on coming down on me, and I could feel like I needed something to keep myself up. I needed to do something to survive this. Mm-hmm. And I had signed up for your masterclass, so I kept getting your emails, and I followed you on Instagram. And I remember when my husband had he had a surgery in his leg. His leg. He had the cancer. At that point, we actually didn't know for certain if it was cancer. We just knew that it was something. And also a side note, my youngest had colic or chronic bowel syndrome, so he wasn't sleeping at all. I was really, at least to say I was there when I needed something to keep myself up, right? So I remember sitting in the couch where you were had sent an email around joining your supply, and I said to my husband, I know we don't know what the situation will be like. I know we don't know if this is something you can survive. I need us to invest in this if I need to survive.
Oh my gosh, I have chills.
Yeah, and I'm also trying not to be completely emotional because this is just full circle moment to sitting here, because that saved my life joining your supply. Oh. And he said like, yeah, sure, we need to invest to just keep one of us alive, right? One of us living, and we also had the 2 kids, right? So we that I guess it also was that point where you sent an email out that we could use payment plans. So we signed up instantly, and I used the techniques there to just ground myself and learn about how powerful you can be just by doing this inner work. And I would mention my husband is still alive. So,
yes, I'm so happy to hear that.
Just to mention that, cancer-free and been for 2 years now. So yeah. So he's alive, happily, and working again. And yeah, we are like on the other side of it. But I am certain, just reflecting on today, that Dear Supply was the thing when joining that. I did it for me. I did it to have some tools, to have some understanding on how I was thinking and acting and how I could change that. And then it definitely changed the trajectory of my life. And now I'm sitting here in completely new version just because of that shift. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And what a scary, scary time. And I'm so grateful to hear that we were able to support you on your journey with thinking different and believing in a positive future. And look, you're here now, and you have your 2 beautiful babies and your husband. So that is so amazing to hear. I can relate, not to the complete extent that you're in, but I can relate because about a month before I had my first baby, my husband ended up getting a blood clot in his leg out of nowhere. And he is still here and he's healthy. And so much of the recovery, when they're looking at the x-rays and ultrasounds and everything, they're like, oh, this is healing. We didn't expect this to happen. But at the time, I was 8 months pregnant, and I was helping him walk up the stairs, and I was driving him to ultrasounds, and we would hope for the best and pray for the best. But then we'd also hear stories or look online on Google of what can happen when that deteriorates and gets worse, or if a blood clot goes to the lungs. And it's so scary, of course, when it's your partner and the person that you love the most in the world. You want them to be healthy and happy and safe. And it adds to it exponentially when you also have a child, because you want the child to have their parent. You want you to have the support raising this child. Like, there's so many things there. So I can definitely relate to that moment of like, I need to survive. I need to be here for our children. And what can I do? And it's so amazing that you believed in yourself and your future enough to say yes to yourself and join inside.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, and everyone says, and like it's common to say, you need to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help others. But it's hard to do that in the moment, because you really want to just save others. But I was there where I really could feel physically, if I'm not doing anything like this for me, I cannot save anyone.
Exactly.
And then my kids won't have two parents that are not functioning, right? So yeah,
exactly. Oh, yeah, a mother's love. Like, we will do anything for our children. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my heart. I'm definitely feeling everything you said. And so I would also love to hear, so you shared how you were able to use the techniques to release the relationship that you had with alcohol, and I think specifically wine. I'd love to hear, where were you before? What did that relationship look like before you used the technique?
For me, it's like, because again, I had the two kids and they were small back then. It wasn't because we were drinking a lot or I was going out a lot. But for me, it was this, that alcohol had always been like the main focus for gatherings, for social gatherings, with like going out, and people would, especially when you get pregnant or when you're trying to get pregnant. I don't know if it's the same in other countries, but here in Denmark, it's like we don't want to share that we are wanting to get pregnant, but if you then do, or you just have to go out, the first time with my first son, I actually had to fake, like, how do you say it, where I need to take antibiotics, like saying, oh, I can't drink tonight because I'm on some sort of medicine. Instead of just like, and everyone, then they could accept it. It was like, oh, okay, sure. But if I would come and say, no, I'm not drinking tonight, they would be like, what's wrong? Or are you pregnant? Or like, it's always this pressure on it. So for me, it was actually because I used this switch technique on other things first, and then I wanted to really figure out how it actually would be with wine. Because the shift was so subtle. I thought I didn't realize before after actually recognizing it. For me, it was the first time with Ben and Jerry's, like the ice cream. Yeah, when we had to use this, when we had to do it for each other and on the Yes Supply. I remember doing the technique with someone, and she was like, "What do you want to not eat so much anymore?" And I was like, I always go to Ben & Jerry's, and it's the expensive ice cream here. And I was like, let's do that. Like, I don't want to eat so much of that anymore. And then we just did the technique, and I didn't thought anything of it until several months later. I actually recognized I didn't thought of it. And when we were going out for ice cream, I instantly chose something else. And I was like, is that really so simple? Doing this technique, and I'm shifting my behavior, right? so for me, it was doing that, and then I did it with soda. And right now, like, I can consciously choose to taste soda, and sometimes when I'm out, I'm not aware of someone pouring soda to me, and I'm like, okay, let me taste it, but it doesn't taste good anymore. Yeah, it's just. It's not like I dislike it and I cannot really touch it anymore. I can drink it, but it doesn't taste good anymore. It doesn't give me that satisfaction anymore. And so when I experienced that on the ice cream and on the soda, and I was like, I want to experience that with alcohol as well. I want to experience going out without the pressure of needing to drink alcohol, and just be myself and not using that as an excuse for anything. And so I did the technique. I had one from Resupply. I have many friends from Resupply now, and we just did techniques together, just for fun, I would say. And then she did it for me, and then I also just recorded the technique on my phone, so I always can go and listen to itself, to if I want to do it with something else. And I did a technique and went out and just not felt the need to drink alcohol or the pressure of it. And I would just also say that I realized at one point I also needed to look into some emotional attachment to it as well, because again, alcohol seems to have so much story and pressure on, like, unconsciously, collectively to us. So even though I didn't need it anymore, I could feel like there was some emotional pressure when everyone was standing like saying, "Are you not drinking? Don't you want to have a drink? Or don't you want to have fun tonight?" And I'm like, I can have fun. I can stand there and dance and be fun without having any alcohol in me. So I could actually also feel that I needed to release some emotional pressure there on. So I just could let it completely go. It wasn't that I I needed some alcohol anymore. I just needed to release the last pressure of the emotional pressure of it.
Yeah.
So do you still hear me?
Yeah, I could still hear you. And it's just it's so interesting, because it really does feel like there's this societal brainwashing where everyone thinks if you go out, you have to have a drink. And people do put so much pressure on you if you decide you're not having a drink, or think there's some underlying, you got to be pregnant, you got to be this, you got to be that. You can't just say, no, I just want to have a sparkling water instead, or I'm totally whole and capable of having fun without an external substance.
And what I realized is that you are actually just a walking mirror to people when you're going out there not drinking and still having fun. And then people just project all their own insecurity of that cannot be possible, right? That cannot be possible that you can be so sparkly and fun without actually needing something to help you be that. So I actually realized I'm just a mirror to people that when they really have a strong reaction to me if I'm not drinking, it's just because deep down there's something within them that they even desire to just be allowing themselves to have fun without alcohol, for instance. So, but it seems so simple, and that's why I could have spent so much pressure on having this conscious thought of, I don't want to drink, I have to say no, and all that, really practicing myself consciously to not be someone who drinks. But then just doing this shift and doing a simple shift as the switch technique is and that was it. Doing that, and then the pressure was gone, right? So, yeah.
Well, big congrats to you, and giving you a big round of applause for releasing that. That is so amazing. I'm so happy for you. And I'm hearing you say you actually use the switch technique. Is that the one that did it for you? Amazing. Yeah, a lot of the time our students use the mapping across technique, but that is also so possible with the switch technique too.
Yeah, I did the mapping technique with the cola and with the ice cream, and then I actually thought I did the mapping with the alcohol, and then because I like the switch, because I sometimes feel like my emotional the attachments to it with the switch technique. I feel like the emotional switch as well, if that makes sense. So I like to combine those two.
I love it. Yeah, that is such a powerful combo, because now you're not just not liking the taste, but you're becoming the person who doesn't even think about that thing anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. I love that. And for anyone who's listening, you can absolutely get access to this technique in the Yes Apply Method coaching certification. And if you're listening to this and you're saying to yourself, I want to learn this technique, but I'm not ready to join the certification, you can also learn this technique and use this technique with my Yes, It's Yours course. So Yes, It's Yours is my personal development course, and it shows you all of the techniques and how to apply them to yourself. So fun for anyone who's listening who's like, I'm ready to release wine or Ben and Jerry's or soda or whatever the food or drink or even habit like social media scrolling is. So that's so amazing. Melanie, I would love to hear now in your life, now after having released Ben and Jerry's and soda and wine, how has your life been impacted?
It's like just physically, actually, because it's not big. I was never overweight. I gained 30 kilos with each pregnancy, but I lost them. I did the work to lose them again. So it's not because I actually did it because I wanted to lose weight, but I experienced just by doing this small shift, I would access, I don't know, so about a few pounds or kilos, like just went away. And also the puffiness in I didn't know. Now I can see the before and after. I had some puffiness in my face and all that. It's also gone. It's like some physical shifts. But for me, doing these small techniques or these small changes actually just added on to a new identity that I never thought I had always this. I would never be someone who could be healthy like that or strong like that or just be naturally choosing those other types of drinks or foods or something like that. And just doing the small technique just added up onto the identity that I really decided to become and feel confident. I'm sitting here in a yoga top with you can't see it, but I'm like my stomach out. I wouldn't think of sitting like that before, but I feel so confident in myself and so confident in my body, just having those like internal shifts. So just by that, I like the shift is amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. I'm so happy to hear. And yeah, it just makes it easy. It's not like, okay, I can't drink this pop. I can't have this. It's like, no, I love my body. I value it. And so I want to drink water. Like you actually crave the taste of water. You crave the taste of maybe the salad or the sugar-free treat rather than the Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
I can totally relate. I'm exactly like that too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this makes me so happy to hear. And then you were telling me just before the interview that in our conversation that when you initially joined, you wanted to use it for yourself. But then since then, you've learned so much, you want to share it with others. So can you tell me how this has transferred into your business?
Yeah, of course. Like as I mentioned beforehand, like the shift was just for myself. And the first thing that actually just happened joining your supply is, and I needed just wanted to be more just, I guess, embodied in my confidence and having like increased self-worth. And within, I would say, the first 6 months after joining Yes Supply, I got a raise, a significant raise at my job out of the blue. And the words were from my boss was, because you're just showing up so confidently. I wanted to like acknowledge that. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was like, it was not only for me an internal shift, but people actually recognized and could feel the shift that I actually felt within me as well. So that was the first big aha moment for me that, okay, it's just not only me and myself that experience a difference, but people can actually tell and see. And just embodying these different shifts that I had, people would then ask me, well, like, what did you do? And what are you doing? and can you help me with this? And like a colleague from me, can you help my daughter with her anxiety for the exams? And I did some sessions with her, and she did amazing with the exam. And yeah, so and my husband was actually he was like, I know we did it for you, but who says you cannot do it for others? Then help others to have the same profound shift in their lives, so that they really can feel confident and go after their dreams with ease and not that pressure, right? So he was actually like, you could just offer sessions to others, and that actually just was like the start of it. And And yeah, then it took from there.
Oh my gosh. And now you're taking over Denmark.
Yeah, I am.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So tell us about like what are your sessions that you offer? What are your programs that you offer?
Like for a long time, I actually just offered what I just would normally call single session within NLP or hypnosis, and just explaining like those kind of single session and having longer one-to-one containers. And within the last few months, I was really contemplating on, because I added on some modalities as like more in-depth somatic experiences as well, and then right now, like really looking into the embodiment piece of it. So I call it embodied subconscious rewiring. So
Wow.
really having that inner profound shift and really helping them to understand and embody like that inner shift and taking action on it and really going out there and trusting themselves. So I do have, like I call it, embodied subconscious rewiring sessions, a single session that people can join. And then I have a longer container, one-to-one container, where I call it inner power, but in her power accelerator. It's a 3 months one-to-one that I help people just to really embody themselves in the confidence and to live life instead of just surviving.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. I love to hear that. And I love that you said you help someone's daughter with her anxiety, because I know when I learned these tools, I was like, how did I go through my whole life until I was, I think 26 before I even knew about this? And I only wished that I knew this going through, teenage years as a girl can be so tough, as anyone can be so tough. It's like, I wish I had known this for so many of the things that I went through. And now my kids are 2 and 3, and I'm already starting to talk to them about this stuff, and they're doing EFT tapping, and they're so cute because they're kind of like this, but it's getting in there. They're understanding. And we do deep breaths. They're so cute. Like if they're, a little stressed or tense, we go, okay, take a deep breath. And they're like, it's so cute. So yeah, it's like, I feel like when you're teaching it to them when they're young, it's going to be so wired in to manage their anxiety or manage the ups and downs of life. So that's so beautiful that you're able to help that woman's daughter. Earlier, I heard you also say that you did a hypnosis session like prior to joining Yes Supply, and it didn't work because the practitioner was missing something. And now I'm like, I need to know, like, tell me, what was it missing that you now know?
Because I went to him because I could feel like the anxiety had physically taken over, and I had always this inner low-key anxiety, and I just spent a semester abroad in Tokyo, Japan, and when coming back, somehow being around people, I don't know if it's just because I suddenly were around Danish people again, I don't know, but I could just feel like my body, if I was spoken to without me realizing or having the time to really contemplate on someone is asking me something, my body would tense up, and I would be really anxious around in this situation, even though it was people that I knew closely. And so I went to him and said, please help, please help me. And he did, I went to him a few times, and now going through also being certified in hypnosis, because it helped in a degree. And what I realize now is because what we did in the hypnosis session was really understanding what came up as a situation that could have rooted into where my anxiety would begin, like looking into the past of where it could be rooted in my body, right? And then we would work on releasing that, or having some visuals around. I would imagine myself, older self, standing behind and have a hand on my shoulder, my little me shoulder, and it was all beautiful and helpful. But the missing key, actually, what I now experience afterwards, is because we never looked into what should the next shift be. What should the reaction instead be? What would the embodiment of a relaxed Melanie be instead? it was like when you go from here and you take your car and you go home, every time you see a red car, you will be more relaxed. But I never had this internal shift and visualization and embodiment of, this is you as an adult, Melanie, having a relaxed situation, being grounded and regulated in a situation that used to give you anxiety. That picture wasn't there. So I would feel relaxed, I would feel empowered, and I would feel like this is going well. And then something happened where I could feel the anxiety still being there, not as heavily, but still there. And then I realized after going through Yes Apply, the embodiment of the new version was missing. So my body couldn't send a signal of what should I do instead, or how should that be instead. And therefore it was just really like going around and figuring it out, or like something about relaxation, but how does that actually feel and look like, right? So so that is what I realized afterwards, that the embodiment piece of the new version was just not there. So the body couldn't send any signals to it, right?
Wow, that makes so much sense. You took something out, but you didn't replace it with who you were becoming and the future that you wanted. That makes so much sense. Well, I'm so grateful that everything that you learned in the Yes Apply method has helped you so much and helped you take that piece and create that piece of who you were becoming, so you can become her today and empower her and empower others. So to wrap up, I want to say thank you so much for being here and sharing your story so vulnerably. And I'd love to hear, is there any last thing that you'd like to share with anyone who's watching?
Definitely join Yes Apply.
Oh.
No.
I'll take that.
I would, because for me, it's really understanding and knowing that you cannot put a price tag on investing in yourself and helping yourself first. And if you really desire a change in your life that is lasting and that is more amazing that you can imagine, that is working with yourself and having someone you can go to, and accountability and learning the tools. I really would love for people to know about the subconscious and how powerful, and how like they're walking around with a suitcase of magic, but they're not opening it, right? So I really want people to know that it's, even though it can seem as a big investment, it will change your life. So it's the investment worth of it, right? So join Yes Apply. Even though if you don't want to have a coaching business, join anyway.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I agree, it can benefit you whether you have a coaching business, or if you're a podcaster, a wellness content creator, or a mindset content creator, or even just working a normal, regular job. Like you said, your boss said you walked in and you just seem more confident, and here's this raise out of the blue because of who you're being. So it can benefit your communication, your understanding others, your connecting with others. So that's so, and obviously getting rid of not eating or drinking wine or whatever it is that you want to release too. Awesome. Well, I'm sure so many people who are listening and watching will want to keep up with you and following on your journey. So can you share your social media handles or anything else that you want to share?
Yeah, it's my name. My Instagram is my name. It's Melanie Gronheid, and with an underscore in the end. So you can follow me there, and also have a homepage. It's also melaniegronheid.com. Where I also share all my programs and more story behind the scenes of what actually happened with me and this change that I also experience, but also my clients. So they can find me there. That's the two main platforms I'm on. So definitely go there and find me there. And I also just released, I want to know, just a side note, I released a podcast called You Lead.
Congrats. Yeah. Beautiful name.
And I remember, I really like it. It's all about understanding that you are the one that can create change in your life. You just need to decide bless you, decide to like take lead of your life. So and again, joining Yes Apply, I remember talking to someone saying like going on podcast, and for me also just doing like speaking in a foreign language, doing English, and I remember saying I could never do that. And now I'm just launching a podcast, and it's also in English. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. Because you stepped into your next level self. You stepped into your self, essentially.
Yeah. And I use the techniques. Yeah. So on my phone
Oh
all
my
the day.
gosh, You Lead. That is such a good name. And just if anyone's listening, can you spell Groenheid, your last name?
Yes, GROHNHAEIT.
Okay, perfect. Amazing.
So
Okay, so everyone go follow Melanie and all the great work that she's doing and her new podcast. Super cool. I'll have to tune in as well. And I just want to say thank you for being proof of what's possible and proof that if you could change your mind and you can change your energy, you can change your whole life. You've just shared with us how you've gone through so many tough times, especially during the pandemic. It was such a tough and dark time for so many people. And you saw the light and you pursued it, and you're doing such amazing things. So thank you for being here and sharing your story.
thank you. And thank you for like creating that so I could change my life.
Thank you. All right. We'll talk to you soon.